Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark TV. You guys know who I am. I'm Dr. Angela Butts-Chester, and you know what I like to do on my show. Say it with me. I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Now, scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And that's what we want to do today. We want to get you fired up about my guest. I'll be spending time today with Matt Shea, and we'll be talking about his book, The Cabin in the Woods and Other Short Stories. So go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me here on Daily Spark TV.
Thank you, Pastor Angela. I love your shows, and I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Thank you so much for that. I cannot wait to share your story, this particular book, with our viewers today. Now, as you know, we have a bit of a tradition. We always give our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves because we realize there may be some new viewers or there may be some folks that are unfamiliar with you and your work. So, first question, what makes you you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was very fortunate, blessed. I come from a wonderful family. There were six of us kids, and we're all very close. And mom and dad were just the best ever. But I think everybody can say that about mom and dad. And growing up, we were taught to volunteer for seniors, which is something I still do. And then I discovered I enjoyed writing early days of grade school. So I've always done that on the side. I'm one fortunate person, and hey, here I am with you.
Oh, I love that. I cannot agree with you more. I tell people all the time when I'm in an interview, I grew up in a civic minded family, and there is nothing like giving back. And especially when you find a way to be charitable, because charity isn't always, monetary. It could be your time, it could be your talent, and just giving back is such a beautiful thing. So, bravo to your parents as well for instilling that in all of you. Now, being an author, you kind of touched on that a little bit. Is that something that you've always wanted to do? Some people enjoy writing, but they never thought they would be an author. Was that on your list of things to do?
I've always considered myself an author the day I was being taught the three R's in early grade school. Again, I started writing little stories to myself, little scribbles and scrawls. They meant something to me, but I kept them to this day. And the day I retired, I started publishing one book after another. I have 11 paperbacks out so far, and that's my entire life of the past 67 years.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I am a fan of the written word. So I think that it really inspires others who have a similar passion as well to go ahead and write that story, put it out there. So, how encouraging to know that you didn't just stop with the one. I love that. Now, when it comes to the title of this particular book, many authors share that their title has came to them first, and they wrote the stories around the title. Others have mentioned, Dr. Angela, I didn't know what the title of the book was going to be until I got to the last chapter. What is the story around the title of your book?
The story behind the title is that, quote unquote, we are all God's children. And when children are growing up, sometimes they get off on the side and they start to question life, question God's, and they start to misinterpret family possessions. And that's the lesson here. And the whole time it is interwoven, contained in God's world, and that it finally comes together through messages that touch each and every one of them.
I love
And
that.
they
Love.
realize how blessed they are standing achieved.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, I try to ask this question of everyone, and it's usually, is your book appropriate for high schoolers? But I want to ask a broader question for you. What is the age range, or what is the target? Because little kids are able to follow along, be read these stories. What is the age range, or what would you say is the youngest that you think a child would be able to follow along as well?
I strive to be a quote unquote hallmark type writer. It is for the entire family, and grandparents could have their grandchild on their lap and read each and every story I've ever written.
Oh, I love that. I really do. And what you suggested there with grandparents being able to read to their grandchildren is so important. My mother read to me as a child. I read to my kids, and it really and truly does make a difference. And you never know if you are helping to mold an avid reader or perhaps a future writer. So I love that is the suggestion there. Now, when it comes to this book, do you suggest that the reader starts with page first through last, or do you suggest that they pick it up and start anywhere? Is it reader's choice, or does that even matter?
This particular book has 4 short stories in it, and you can pick any one you want in any order. They all give a different angle of God's message and understanding, and having your faith help you prevail in this acid test of life.
I love it. I love it. Well, it is time for us to take a very short break. But before we do, now we know that your book, of course, is available on Amazon or wherever books are sold. But if someone wants to reach out to you, what is the best way to do that?
It would be my website, which is Matt Shea, S-H-E-A, mattsheabooks.net. And it starts off with the free family audiobook. Grandparents can play it when the grandkids are over, and it has a lot of free stories in it. Lots of free stuff before you even come close to purchasing anything.
I love it. I love it. Alrighty, everyone. Now you know where you can get a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this.
There's something I need to tell you. This relationship isn't working. It isn't good for me. I'm breaking up with you.
It's not me, it's you. I became dependent on you. And you were always there for me, even when I was at my worst. But I didn't realize the damage you were doing. You created a toxic environment. Not just for me, but others too. You were suffocating me.
We're just no longer compatible. Also, there's one more thing. I met someone else.
I'm respected in public. I'm making friends. I feel like I can breathe again.
That's how I deserve to be treated.
我们书店结束了。
तुम फिर से कभी नहीं मुझे दुख दोगे।
Ni siquiera te necesito.
Parce que j'ai une autre option.
And it's a healthy relationship.
Welcome to Daily Spark TV. Are you an author with a faith-based book? Be a guest. Serious about your product or service and want to try something new? Sponsor an episode. I see you're ready to get started. So visit drangela.chester.com. Thanks again for watching Daily Spark TV.
Have the past few weeks or months been challenging? Yes, for all of us. We've been thrown into circumstances which we could never have imagined. Loss of jobs, working from home, general uncertainty, all while dealing with COVID. It's causing us to be a little on edge. If you need someone to talk to, Dr. Angela Chester can help. Visit newlifepastoralcounseling.com to get started. We're in this together.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark TV. Now, I love that you have written the book in a way in that there are multiple short stories and that the reader has their reader's choice, right? Especially when we have little kids, they feel like they might have a little control and say, I want to hear that story. So I love that you have done that. So let me give my disclaimer early. If you want to know how the story ends, you've got to buy the book. My viewers know that I always put that in there. Now, with that being said, I want you to tell me why was it important for you to write about the cabin in the woods?
As I age, I've seen the tragedy of families go to battle as they've aged and went elsewhere in the world. And then when it comes time for inheritance, sometimes families do the opposite of harmonizing. They create a battlefield out of it. And this is God's grace intervention that there is a reason why we're family and unity. It's for everybody. It's not to battle over it. That's how the story plays out, and God delivers his messages with precision at the most needed times.
You are so right there. There there have even been movies made about how people can't seem to get it together. Weddings, funerals, inheritance times. Folks just they get beside themselves so much. You are so right there, and I'm glad that you touched on that. Now, one character that you talk about is George Z, or Zed for our international listeners. Why is George Z important?
George is very important to me because he is a good man of faith who harbors around his church fellowship community. And when things started to go bad for him, it was someone who we helped years ago in church who came around to help him right back. And it made a complete circle, and it brought happiness because from there he was able to help a person who also lost a job with him. They all landed on their feet because of someone who wandered into the church, and George met him halfway and in essence sponsored him.
I love that. Now I know someone is thinking at this particular junction, oh my goodness, are these stories are they loosely based on other things? Are they inspired by, or is this totally and completely fiction? For those who have inquisiting minds, tell us more about that.
They all evolve around facts of life. And we recall the lion that had a mouse remove a thorn from its paw, and then later the lion was able to help the mouse. It's the same thing, but brought up to the grown up level. And that these are all things that I've seen happen in various ways, and it's how it plays out. But you have to be self sacrificing of goodwill, your faith. And when you don't know what's going on, stay on course, keep the prayers coming. Do not hide, be active, get in that current, go forward.
Oh my goodness, I remember that story. And I often have wondered, are children still read, those types of stories that help teach them about character and integrity and all of those things. As adults, it's morals and ethics. So you are so right. I'm glad that you did that. I love it. I love it. Well, it is time for us to take a very short break. But before we do, now we know that your book, of course, is available on Amazon or wherever books are sold. But if someone wants to reach out to you, what is the best way to do that?
It would be my website, which is Matt Shea, SHEA, mattsheabooks.net. And it starts off with the free family audiobook. Grandparents can play it when the grandkids are over, and it has a lot of free stories in it. Lots of free stuff before you even come close to purchasing anything.
I love it. I love it. Alrighty, everyone. Now you know where you can get a copy of the book. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, do you have something to share? Be a guest. Want to sponsor an episode? Visit drangela.chester.com. Thanks again for watching Daily Spark TV.
Now, you also talk about a bear. Tell us about the bear.
I love animals across the board. I love cats, I love dogs, I love birds and everything. And they were created too. They have lives and they can read us much better than we give them credit for. And we had a young boy who was typically an example where he does not know his parents, but a grandmother's raising him. But he always has his church, he has his senior centers, which is what his grandmother is, and he watched a bear captured at a young age when its cub and put into captivity. So he became friends with that bear. And then the day came when that bear got out of its cage to challenge somebody that was tormenting this boy, a bully. And Teddy won the favor. He could get the bear to shake hands. He could get the bear to obey everything. And he got the bear to walk back in its cage. And that friend realized that that boy was friends with this bear who could have been a vicious animal, but instead it wasn't. It was a member of the community.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Just the symbolism there of how we can understand the stories. I love that. Now, do you find that when we are especially reading to children, that animals in particular are able to really resonate with them?
Yes, yes, exactly. They are put here, and I always believe when you have pet adoption, that pet adopted you.
Oh, absolutely. I have seen so many encouraging stories using that same sentiment. I adopted, Jack or whatever the pup's name is, and they say the exact same thing, but he saved me. I thought I was saving him, but he saved me. And it is so true. Our little fur babies, I tell you, they really do keep us inspired, and they keep us in a mindset where we operate from that place of kindness and of love and of gentleness. So you are so right there. Now, another character that you mentioned is the old man. Why was it important to include him in the storyline as well?
Again, my other stories has to do with that learning curve of youth, adolescence, coming around, testing the boundaries. And the old man knows the big picture. And he had two teens that always looked up to him that asked him to buy beer. This comes down to honor thy mother and father. So he explained it's very simple. The father's going to pick their side over his. And he said, one of us is going to be a hero, one of us is going to get it, and you boys can run a lot faster than I could walk. And now I got to talk to your dad. The dad was so honored that the boys confessed to them, and the dad initially was upset at the old man because the kids already did right. Then the dad came around and fulfilled the prophecy. He took him out to the finest cafe in town as a way to patch things up because the old man kept reciting what he liked on the menus because he knew that would be the last domino to fall. And the boys learned a lesson. They got it.
Oh my goodness. I am such a big proponent of intergenerational activities and making sure that it's not just parents and their children, but including the grandparents and aunts and uncles and as many as we can. I think that we forget the
Yes.
importance of having the wisdom of those who have come before us at the table, in the space to be able to share what they have learned along the way. Many of us have not lived long enough to learn half of the lessons of our grandparents yet because we just don't have the time in. So I love that you included all of the phases and stages of life. This is such an important book, I feel, to really introduce to children because of that very fact. Now, when you were in the writing stages of the book, did you find that there was any story or piece of a story, because there could be multiple stories, but different pieces of those stories that you found were really essential for you to write? You really wanted to get this message right, or one that spoke to your heart the most?
Yes, exactly. At present, I retired years ago, and I have a fun job driving a shuttle bus at a casino, but I don't gamble, I don't touch alcohol or smoke anything. And my message about the story George, because it encompasses around that, is wherever you go, there are vices. Supermarkets sell things that we should not have. You get it everywhere. And these casinos, people forget they have nice coffee shops, restaurants, they have nice entertainers that come in. Wherever you go, you have the free will, and it doesn't mean just because it's legal you do it. So these are people that are happy with what they're doing. My tips, they go from Peter to Paul. I could take a senior out with them. I could give them to some of the female security guards who are a little hurting at the end of the month, and it's all fun. It keeps the happiness going.
You are so right. There is always something around that can be a trigger for someone else. I remember having the conversation. I was up at church on this particular day, and they were setting up the communion table. It was about to be First Sunday. And someone had the conversation of perhaps we should change from using actual wine to using grape juice. I don't know if people realize that in the church supply store, you have the option of buying sacred wine for that event, or buying literally a grape juice that is used for the purpose of Holy Communion or presenting the sacraments. And I thought that that was such a wonderful suggestion, because they said you never know who is dealing with alcoholism, and you don't want for them to not participate in receiving the sacrament because they're trying to honor their sobriety. So you are so right to just encourage each other to be the best that we can be, and you never know how you might be that catalyst, that person that really helps them to hold their hand to go from one side to the other. Such a beautiful message there. I love that. I love that. Now, if there is one thing that you hope that the reader of this book picks up that you have included as a breadcrumb along its pages, what would that one thing be?
It's to understand they're experimenting. They're doing trial and error and getting off on their own, and show them that the path they were on is the path. Be understanding about it, be nurturing about it, be there for them, and don't shame them. Understand them because you took that path not too long ago.
You are so right there. Let's leave the shame at the door. No need to do that. We can do it in a kinder, gentler voice. I love it. I love it. Well, Matt Shea, thank you so much for coming on and spending time with our viewers here today. Now, we know that your book is available, of course, on Amazon or wherever books are sold. But if someone wants to reach out to you, what is the best way to do that?
Once again, it is Matt Shea, S-H-E-A, mattsheabooks.net. And people can write me. I always write them. And there's a lot of free stuff there for the family.
I love it. I love it. Thank you again for being a guest on Daily Spark TV.
Thank you very much, Dr. Angela.
You are so welcome. And viewers, thank you for spending time with us here today as well. You could have been anywhere and you chose to spend it with me. I thank you for doing so. I hope that we have once again enlightened, inspired, and empowered you. As always, may God continue to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye. Everyone, Dr. Angela here. I'm excited to invite you to join us for the next 5 weeks for the National Day of Prayer 2025. Now, we'll be talking with thought leaders, community leaders, musicians, and ministry leaders. We're going to cover every topic we possibly can during this time and be a part of the national conversation of how we can not only be better kingdom builders, but how we can support those nationwide. 5 weeks will be a part of this national conversation. Join us for the National Day of Prayer. Let me tell you about our speakers. First, we have Pastor Larome. I love his quiet demeanor, but his powerhouse presence. Our only international guest for this year, we are happy to invite him. We have Janet M. Taylor. She hosts and produces the weekly podcast, Got Clutter, Get Organized with Janet. She's ranked number 2 in organizing podcasts, and she's been featured on The Rachel Ray Show. We also have Ken Holt, literally decades of playing music to include 20 years as serving as a pastor and youth minister in a Presbyterian church. We also invite and are happy to have Prophetess Catherine Free. She has joined us in years past for the National Day of Prayer, and we are so happy to have her back. Now, she is the founder of Discipleship Way, and we are so happy to have her share with us here. Next, we have Miss Freddie. Not only is she an multi award winning artist, but she's also a philanthropist. She does annual charity work to include Relay for Life for American Cancer Society, Pink Day for Breast Cancer Research Foundation, events for veterans, as well as Toys for Tots and Sing to Stop Domestic Violence. Now, let's not forget about Eddie Mann. With a career spanning over 20 albums, Eddie's music has touched the hearts of audiences all over the world. And his last 2 singles have hit number 1 on the UK iTunes Christian chart. Congratulations for that, Eddie, and welcome to the conversation. Now, I can't leave off Pastor Don Damon. Pastor Don became an ordained minister with a special emphasis in trauma support and biblical counseling. She developed and worked as director of supported healing groups in a megachurch, serving hundreds of women to help them overcome abuse and trauma. Pastor Don has also served as an executive pastor of 3 organizations and recently the founder and lead pastor of Tribes Church, a multi-ethnic work in Grand Rapids, Michigan. As we present these awesome and amazing speakers to you, we hope that you will join us over the next 5 weeks for the National Day of Prayer right here on Daily Spark TV. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you soon.